Coming up tonight on Midweek Update. After 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, the Israelites are on the receiving end of the longest recorded pep talk in ancient history. But just how peppy is the talk?
Plus, how many times does someone have to repeat something in order for it to be remembered? We've got the answer.
Also, we have an exclusive interview with the author of the New York Times best-selling self-help book, How to Lose Friends and Trivialize People. Midweek Update starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Dex.
And I'm Stevo. This just in. The tribe of Levi has gone on strike. That's right. The Levites, who are anointed by God for the service of the tabernacle, say they will no longer carry the Ark of the Covenant around the wilderness unless their list of demands is met. In an open letter to Moses, the priestly tribe's union representative said, "This thing has gotten too heavy and we're not going to take it. No, we ain't going to take it. We're not going to take it anymore."
That's right, Stevo. And before issuing their demands, that same representative said, "We got the right to choose it. There ain't no way we'll lose it." Among the Levites' demands are a lifetime supply of ibuprofen, lower back support braces for all priests over the age of 90, and a 10-minute chair massage every 25 miles. In response, Moses is penning a pep talk to encourage the Levites.
That's right. And we'll have a full report on that pep talk later. But first, findings from a new study show that repetition doesn't work at all. A team of scientists recently discovered that repetition is an absolutely terrible way to memorize things.
Psychologist Melvin Cohen found that simple repetition actually interferes with the ability to learn new information. For example, let's say you have 10 things to remember not to do. When you're first presented with the list, maybe it's even etched into large stone tablets. You understand the list of 10 things. They make sense to you. But once you wander away, even if you return to the list at regular intervals, there's only the illusion that you've learned the material, when in fact you've done terrible things. Whether 40 seconds goes by or 40 years, you're a complete failure.
That's a bummer, Dex. In related news, Israeli fashionista Hannah Birch has designed a wearable accessory to counteract those findings. It's called an eye tefillin, and it was inspired by God's directive to memorize His laws and think about them constantly. God even told the Israelites through Moses to write down copies of the law and tie them to their wrists and foreheads to help them obey. The eye tefillin has a Super Retina touchscreen display and is water and fingerprint resistant. Its 512 gigabytes of memory replaces your need to remember anything at all.
Steve, wait, isn't that an iPhone?
No, Dex, it's an eye tefillin. Some of Israel's most observant Hebrews fill this sleek pocket-sized device with things like commandments, instructions, tidbits of wisdom, grocery lists, kosher of course, GIFs and GIFs, and other bits of tid. And then they bind it to their bodies with these straps so that they don't forget anything.
Looks awful like an iPhone.
Eye tefillin. Google it, Dex. Here, use my iPhone. Folks, we'll be right back with more Midweek Update right after this.
Why is my wife texting you?
This portion of the Midweek Update is brought to you tonight by the Tablet 2, the next generation in stone tablets.
Paging Mr. Joshua and Mr. Caleb. Your 10 companions wish to meet you at Kadesh Barnea. They are not willing to travel with you into Canaan due to the presence of giants in the land. Again, Mr. Joshua and Mr. Caleb, please meet your 10 companions at Kadesh Barnea. Thank you.
Welcome back to Midweek Update. And please join me in welcoming Moses to the show. Great to have you back, Moses.
Thank you, Stevo. I hope this final interview will serve as yet another reminder to the people of Israel.
What do you mean by final interview?
Well, Stevo, I am about to die.
What?
Yes.
Moses, I didn't realize. Are you ill?
No, I'm 120.
Oh, well, in that case, I'll just follow your lead.
All right, well, that'll be a nice change.
Oh, okay. Well, do you have any parting words of wisdom, my friend?
Boy, do I. I have 30 chapters of words of wisdom, so we better get started, Steve.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait. Pause. 30 chapters? I'm sorry, Moses, but we just don't have that kind of time. I mean, this isn't PBS. Can you summarize?
Well, Stevo, why don't we just play a quick little game, huh?
Okay.
I play this with my people sometimes just to break up the monotony while we're wandering in the wilderness. It's called Moses Says.
Oh, like Simon Says.
No.
Oh.
No. Simon. I wonder what happened to him.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Moses says, do not covet your neighbor's house, wife, servants, or anything that is your neighbor's.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do with that.
Moses says, honor your father and mother.
Okay. What am I?
Moses says, do not steal.
I've never stolen anything in my entire life.
Work hard on the Sabbath. I got you.
Okay.
Take the seventh day off each week. That's what God did. Why am I yelling?
I don't know.
Enjoy a bagel and a
Oh.
schmear once a week. You know?
Okay. Game over. Thank you, Moses. Now let's check in with Tamra in the Weather Center. What's it looking like out there, Tamra?
Stevo, it's a beautiful evening. Daytime temps remain very pleasant across Canaan so far this week, as you can see. Still hot, though, around the Red and Dead Sea. So if you have seaside plans this weekend, we encourage you not to forget your sunscreen or unsalted water. And if you're feeling a little more adventurous, it looks like great weather to make a river crossing. Stevo, back to you.
Welcome back to Midweek Update. Now we have an exclusive interview with the author of an uber popular self-help book. As soon as it hit the shelves, Dale Carnegiewicz's book skyrocketed to #1 on Goodreads' best motivational books of all time. Dale, welcome to Midweek Update.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dex.
Dale, let's start with your book's title. Can you tell us what inspired the big idea?
Of course, Dex. My book is called How to Lose Friends and Trivialize People. Why, it's inspired by the final words of one of history's most effective and influential leaders, Moses.
And I know Moses had quite a lot of final words to the Israelites. How have you organized your advice so that the average layperson can learn from him?
Okay, right, check it out. So my book has 4 sections: final words, final words, final words, and dude looks like a Levite.
What's that last one again?
Well, okay, Moses' final words, that's 4 finals, were actually a song, and so the last section, dude looks like a Levite, contains tips for singer-songwriters.
Fantastic. And without spoiling the book, can you give our viewers just a glimpse of your strategies? What's 1 or 2 things we can do today to lose friends and trivialize people?
Oh, sure, okay, well, one thing I recommend is to continually remind people of all of their mistakes they've ever made. It's really a put your past in front of you mindset. No one can learn from past mistakes unless they get rehashed over and over and over and over again. Something else that's a little more time consuming to develop is boundaries. You've got to tell people exactly what they must do to have a relationship with you. I would even go so far as having friends and family sign a contract that includes social, spiritual, civil, ceremonial expectations. You know what I'm saying? That kind of agreement can really pave the way to failure.
Dale, say no more. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and I wish you heaps of success or failure.
Yeah, so I would have said, no doubt you will fail miserably. Thanks for having me, Dex. All right.
This portion of the Midweek Update is brought to you tonight by the Tasty Tabernacle Gastropub, keeping kosher even in exile.
Paging Mr. Moses. There's an important message for you. Please escort your large traveling party through the wilderness. You will follow a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Do not take any unauthorized detours.
Welcome back to Midweek Update. Have you ever tried to cram 38 years of history into 2 sentences? That's exactly what Moses did in Deuteronomy chapter 2. Faced with the daunting task of recapping the entire history of the Hebrew people, including laws, lessons, events, and ancestry, Moses flew through 38 years by saying, "Now rise and cross over the valley of the Zered." So we crossed over the valley of Zered, and the time we took to come from Kadesh Barnea until we crossed over the valley of the Zered was 38 years.
Wow, that's very, very succinct. Unfortunately, Dex, we've just learned that Moses has been hospitalized with a severe case of laryngitis.
Oh no.
Although his recap of those 38 years was brief, his 3 farewell sermons to the Israelites took 31 chapters. Add to that his final song and blessing, and he's been talking for 33 chapters. His great physician has prescribed vocal rest, gargling with warm sea salt water, and honey lemon lozenges. Moses is not currently taking visitors, but it's reported that his room has an outstanding view of the Promised Land.
In more uplifting news, the Israelites have been given the all clear to cross the Jordan River and take possession of the Promised Land. The Lord has done everything he said he would do, despite generations of rebellion. Just before Moses was hospitalized, he told his successor, Joshua, "Be strong and good courage." Wait, be strong and of good courage.
That's right.
Let me do that one more time. Be strong and of good courage.
Nailed it.
For you must go with this people to the land which the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. With that, the entire population of Israel joined together on the bank of the Jordan River and started flossing flash mob style.
Let's take a final look at weather with Tamra.
Thanks, guys. It's been clear and comfy across the Moab region, and tonight is no different. Overnight, the temp will cool to around 60, which is perfect for popping a tent right in the wilderness of your own backyard. Remember, though, it's still toasty at the Dead Seashore, so I would stick with a light linen yarmulke. And before cooler autumn temps kick in, why not get in one more river crossing? Thanks, guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Tamra. Folks, for our final story tonight, we've brought back the mayor of Moab, Lance Armstrong. Lance, thank you for coming and joining us today on such short notice.
No worries. Almost endowed coming off that log in front of the studio, but thanks again for having me, bro.
Lance, from all of us at Midweek Update, we are so sorry to hear about your loss.
Oh, yeah. Prayer hands. Yeah, thanks. Super bummed, everyone. Moab was like really looking up to Moses at the time, you know. Even though his setup was totally dialed, he just couldn't hook that drop-off porcupine rim. No one can, really.
Evidently, the Lord told Moses he couldn't cross over the Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I usually go to my middle ring through water so I don't get chain sucked every 5 feet, but I guess he decided to bail.
Lance Armstrong, everyone. And that's all we have time for tonight.
Oh, that's cool. I'm Stevo.
And I'm Dex. Good night.
Paging Mr. Moses. Mr. Moses, this is your final call. You have an appointment on Mount Nebo. Again, Mr. Moses, this is your final call. You must proceed immediately to Mount Nebo for an urgent appointment. Thank you.
Midweek Update is brought to you by Edict Air. With on-time flights throughout the Holy Land, plus a new red-eye from Jerusalem to Cairo, closed on the Sabbath, Edict Air, walking the line to keep you on time.
Midweek Update is a production of ABC, Ancient Broadcasting Company.